Hey y'all, today I'm going to talk a little bit about Git. Git is a free and open source version control system, and what that means is that as you are making changes to your code, you can go back and look at the history of the changes that you have made, and it's really nice for that. It does a lot of other really cool, really powerful things as well, but for now I'm going to go over just the basics of how it works and how to use it in the command line. So first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and go to github.com. Actually, I guess the first thing you need is to install Git. If you don't have it already, you can just click on the download button down here for your operating system. Um, and then we're going to want to go to github.com and make an account or sign in if you already have an account. Go up to the top right hand corner and hit the plus, hit new repository, and add your repository name. So for now, I'm going to call this Git tutorial, and this is a test repository. For the description, you can make it public or private. I'm going to make this one public because I don't really care. And then you have the options to initialize your repository with a readme file, a git ignore, and you can choose a license. I'm going to go ahead and just do these just so you can see how that works, but you don't necessarily need any of these three. So let's add a git ignore, and then let's choose the MIT license. And we're going to go ahead and create this repository. And once that is done, it'll take you to here. All you have to do now is hit code in the top right hand corner, and you will clone it. I'm going to use the SSH URL, but if you do not have an SSH key on your machine, I recommend just using the HTTP URL. It'll have you log in with your username and password for GitHub. So copy this link, go ahead and head to your command line and go to the folder where you want this project to be made and type git clone and then the link. And once you do that, you will have a new folder, and you can go ahead and cd into that folder. And you'll see that if I type ls, I have the license and the readme file. So now I'm going to go ahead and make some changes. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make an index.html file, and then I'm going to make a styles.css file. So we have those now, but they're not tracked by Git yet in any way, and they are what's called unstaged changes. So we haven't staged them to be committed. And the three steps in getting your code pushed from your machine up to GitHub are staging your changes, committing your changes, and then pushing your changes. And it is kind of weird to have these three steps, but it's useful, and it is nice the way they do it. So to stage your changes, you'll type git add and the name of the file that you want to stage to be changed. One cool thing is that you can just type git add and then dot, and it will find the files that have changes in them or all the new files, and it'll add those. So if I type git add dot, you'll see that if I type git status now, these are tracked to be staged. And if I did this git restore -- staged index.html, and then I do git status here, you'll see that now it's saying that index.html is untracked, so it's not staged. So I'll do git add dot, git add dot again, and go ahead and do git status again, and then we can see that those files are ready to be committed. So to commit your files, you type git commit, and then you can use, there's a couple options, but the easiest one is just to do -m, and then in quotes you type the message for your commit. So for this commit, I will just type added index.html and styles.css files. And then once you have that, you just hit enter, and that will commit your files. And now if I type git status, you'll see that I'm on branch main, and my branch is ahead of origin main by one commit. So I've made a commit locally that GitHub or wherever your repo is hosted doesn't know about yet. So it's already telling me the command I need. Git is really good about telling you what you need to do to get your code pushed. So use git push to publish your local commits. They have a lot of these like helpful little side notes in here. So all we have to do here is type git push and wait a second. And now if we go to here and we refresh, you see that we now have our index.html and our styles.css file. So that is the basics, the very, very basics of getting your code pushed up to GitHub. And I will show you now that if I go ahead and I change index.html and I actually add something in here, and I'll just add a header here. And then I do get status again, you'll see that I've modified index.html, but it's not being tracked right now, so it's not staged for commit. So to do that, again, I can just type git add dot, and then if I look at git status again, you'll see that this is a change that is going to be committed, index.html. So I will type git commit -m, and I will type in updated index.html file. And these git commit messages are pretty important. Normally you want them to be fairly small and try to describe it as best you can, the changes that you've made. And you should be committing pretty much every time you add a new feature or fix a bug. That is kind of when you want to commit your code. On a team, you usually end up committing your code at the end of the day every day, even if it's still in progress, just so that everything's kind of saved in a repo if you take a day off or whatever. So yeah, git commit -m, your message, and then hit enter, and we can do git push again. And now if we go back to GitHub and refresh, you'll see that styles.css file has added index.html and styles.css files as the commit message, and that was 3 minutes ago. And then index.html has updated index.html file. So the commits are kind of tracked by the files that are actually changed. And these two are just in the initial commit. I think that's everything I wanted to go over. That's really just the basics. I want to talk about branching in another video, but this is how you get your code pushed up and you can start hosting it on GitHub. Thanks, y'all.